Hello and welcome to the college show on the Franchise Tag podcast. Very different face this week. A new presenter. Not a new presenter. I'm not taking Andrew's seat. I mean, not just yet. Obviously, Alex and Andrew are the faces and do a sublime job here on the Franchise Tag College show. But I'm Freddie from the Monday Talk Show, if you haven't seen that. And I'm just helping out for the evening, helping out Alex. I mean, my college knowledge and my college ball is mediocre at best. So apologies, Alex, if you have to carry me a little bit, but I've been in and out. Last year, college, I was really into it. This year, I've been a little bit less infused, I suppose. I've had a lot going on.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, if you've not been watching it too much this year, you've been missing out because it turned out to be another crazy year of college football. Because there's always seems to be loads going on each week with upsets flying around everywhere and storylines just coming and going constantly. I know that there's a few big newsworthy items that we're going to discuss a bit this week. And we had quite a few big games with quite a few near upsets. Every week we seem to have at least one big upset, and I think this week we had some very near misses. But this was more of a week when the favourites or the stronger teams managed to prevail through some tricky matchups.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always a fun weekend having that whole Saturday now, especially on the television for the most part, watching the games. And like I said, I am into college, so I mean, I'm a Michigan guy personally. I know that that's bad for Andrew, who's not a Ohio State guy. We don't often talk about it. I mean, but Michigan, I have no affinity to in terms of like I don't know anyone from there or anything like that. It's quite simply because of the All or Nothing series, and I really enjoyed it. And that was when they had Rashawn Gary and Devin Bush, if I remember. So that's quite old now, to be fair. But that's sort of why I chose Michigan, because I enjoyed that, and I enjoy. I always butcher this. It's Jim or John Harbaugh. It's one of them. It's one of the Harbaugh brothers. I can never remember which one's which, but I did. I really enjoyed that.
It was Jim. Yeah, it was Jim. Jim Harbaugh, who finally won them a national championship and then decided to come back to the NFL and be head coach of the Chargers.
No, he's doing quite successful there. But enough of that. Let's talk all about college. Like you said, a few near misses by some teams last weekend, and some big wins and some favourites going through as well. But the game we're going to be focusing on was Ole Miss going to Oklahoma. They did come out on top 34-6. Trinidad Chambliss, the quarterback for Ole Miss, had a sublime game. K1 Lacey, the running back, that's his fourth game where he's had multiple touchdowns. So, he's having an absolutely fantastic season, and it's seeming a little bit rocky, isn't it, in Oklahoma at the minute? I mean, Ole Miss are still a formidable team, and I think now, Alex, with this win over Oklahoma, can we take them a little bit more seriously with how they're doing within the SEC, and even maybe eyes are gazing towards topping that whole division?
Yeah, they are proving themselves to be one of the runners in the SEC now, alongside Texas A&M, who are separating themselves as the clear front runners there. But Ole Miss, they've looked very strong this season. They've had a few little blips. Yes, they slipped up against Georgia last week when they had held the lead into the fourth quarter and let things slip away when they played in Athens. But this week they came back strong against, yes, a good Oklahoma team, but an Oklahoma team that hasn't been quite the same since John Mateer suffered that thumb injury and possibly came back. Well, he came back very quickly from that after surgery, but possibly a little bit too soon, maybe, as they tried to get their season back on track. But maybe it's been a bit too much for him at the moment.
We'll focus on Ole Miss though, if you like, for the moment, just because I know that Oklahoma, spoiler alert, may be coming later on in the show as well. And actually, weirdly, Ole Miss, I think, is going to tie into a little bit of our talk section as well with their head coach. But I mean, eighth seed now. Like I said, Chambliss had a great game, 315 yards, touchdown, no picks, QB rating of 122.2. I mean, he's having a pretty good season from what has all been spoken about. Do you think is he not mentioned enough in the conversations at the minute of like sort of the top quarterbacks going around?
He's getting there. He's becoming more and more, I think, successful now since he took over. I can't remember which week it was when he took over for the injured starter, but he's just looked phenomenal ever since he set foot on that pitch. He's been he's been brilliant. He's shown himself to be a quarterback who can be very accurate, but can also extend plays with his legs, both running for to secure first down, also just extending the length of the play once when the pocket breaks down and finding a target there. Um, yeah, he's quickly, I think, become fan favorite. You see, um, fans in Oxford now are waving Trinidad flags, as in like Trinidad, the country's flags, because this is his first name to show the support for him. I think he's really won them over. Um, Definitely in Oxford, but I think it's starting to get that a bit wider across the nation now. That bit more of that recognition as well. It's the strength of the team is being recognised in the AP poll, which has seen them climb to seventh now. Number seven in going into week 10 from this week's rankings. Um, and yeah, they are now a real playoff contender. I think they have been taken seriously as a playoff contender. They narrowly missed out last year um, on a playoff spot in the new expanded playoffs, but I think it would be very much a disappointment now if Ole Miss did not make the playoff because it's very likely there's going to be four SEC teams in it. Um, Texas A&M, oh, I can't say that they're a lock, but I think they're the favourites at the moment as they stand undefeated. And then with Alabama and Georgia alongside Ole Miss, it's the most likely ones to be taking one of those four spots.
Yeah, they're currently what six?
Currently, what six?
Oh, bit echoey
So,
there, but it's okay. It's no problem.
yeah, so
It's no problem at all. I'm sure it'll figure itself out. But yeah, they're currently 7-1 record, Ole Miss, and 4-1 in the division. Like I said, with that one loss, we're only two behind Texas A&M, yet to lose a game, and yet to lose a game in the SEC as well, and Alabama yet to lose a conference game, but have lost a game, 7-1 as well, same record as Ole Miss. Like I said, Georgia and Vandy right behind them, sort of chomping at the bit within the SEC. But like you said in the AP polls, up to seventh now. With this playoff bracket, I suppose it's extending. It's allowing for these, and being in the SEC, it's such a dominant division, that and the Big Ten, isn't it? Within college football. And do you think? Do you think it's good for like if Ole Miss somehow then top the SEC with A&M and Alabama falling down behind? We could theorize that Ole Miss would be in the AP poll 1 to 3 in that bracket. Does that make it for a more of an exciting college playoff if they could overcome that? Because who they got left to play? I mean, they're playing South Carolina. They've got the Citadel, Florida, and they're at Mississippi State to close out the season.
yeah, I mean that I see that there's potential trap games in that lineup. We saw what happened with South Carolina, Alabama this past week, where South Carolina was so close to knocking off Alabama. Aside from Nora Sellers' fumble that gave Alabama the ball back, and Florida's a tough team. They've sacked the head coach. We'll come on to that later as well. But yeah, I'm not sure if they're playing in Florida in the swamp or if they're at home. But still, there's a couple of games they could potentially slip up on, but also could potentially win out and find themselves within the top four.
They're actually hosting their next 3 games, with the
Are they?
last game
Okay,
being
that's
at
good.
Mississippi State.
Okay, and again, that's not an easy game as well. They've given some tough running where they nearly had what was it, Texas A&M? They ran pretty close. Who did they? Oh no, what am I talking about? It's Texas. Texas last week when they had a really close game that they took to overtime. Mississippi State. But yeah, a winnable but not necessarily completely straightforward schedule. Um, I see Ole Miss sustaining a fairly high place in the AP poll. I think next week, it might be next week when the first college football playoff committee rankings come out. So that's the all important one when it comes to the playoff, which sometimes correlates with the AP poll, sometimes skews a bit differently. But yeah, the best way if they can find themselves a place in the SEC championship game and win that, they'll get an automatic berth. If not, then they need to look impressive for the rest of the season, convince the playoff committee that they are worth a place in the playoff, which I think they will this year.
Right, here's keeping an eye on Ole Miss. Let's get on to our topic section of the show. I mean, big news this week is the firing of Brian Kelly, head coach of LSU. It's become a bit of a coaching carousel, hasn't it? In the last couple of weeks, you've had James Franklin fired from Penn State, Billy Napier fired from Florida, and now Brian Kelly. I mean, yeah, what are they, 5-3 at the minute? I'm right in saying that they are 5-3. I don't know why I suddenly doubted myself then. But he has an all-time record of 34-14, and I listened to a bit of Joel Klatt earlier, and what he was sort of saying is Brian Kelly's a fantastic head coach. The stuff he did in Notre Dame was phenomenal, and sometimes with these head coaches, including the three that I've just said about who've departed, have been let go by their teams respectively, is that it's not a comment upon how poor the coach has been almost. It's just sometimes fit. And that Kelly worked within the Notre Dame system, area, culture, I suppose. And that LSU is a different style of culture. It's a different way of doing things down there in New Orleans. And, well, just outside New Orleans, sorry. Do you think ultimately, Alex, do you think it was the right decision to get rid of him?
I think it was a bit harsh letting go of him during the season, and that may have been reactionary following like James Franklin's sacking as well. But ultimately, I think the weight of expectation that comes with being a head coach at a program like LSU is huge. And if you aren't contending for a national championship, the expectation at LSU is you win national championships. The previous two head coaches, Ed Orgeron and obviously Nick Saban as well, brought national championships to Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly hasn't been successful in doing that in I can't remember, 3 or 4 years he's been there. And obviously this season was not going as planned. They started off as preseason favourites, very high up in the rankings. I can't remember if they were like third or something in the preseason rankings. They had Garrett Nussmeier decides to return to school rather than entering the draft to try and secure a national championship. But it all seems to have fallen apart a bit. I think as well, you talk about fit. Brian Kelly, from what I know from his personality, is a bit of a how do I describe it? He's a bit of a one. It can rub a lot of people up the wrong way, I think, and I think he has done that a bit maybe with those at LSU. So yeah, they decided to get rid of him to pay I think it was 49 million buyout. I think that's actually been reduced though because they triggered some clause in his contract. I think it's some morals code or something like that. Because I think there's some. I need to look into it more, but there's some behind the scenes things that may have not been completely great, maybe to do with his personal life, relationships, and things like that. I won't go into that too much because I don't know too much about it. But yeah, it's fascinated me that this year the way big name established coaches like James Franklin, who has a very, very good record, or had a good record at Penn State. But then when it comes to the crux of it, when it comes to winning against ranked opponents, against top 10 opponents, and ultimately um, getting into the playoff and winning a national championship is what it comes down to these big blue blood programs. And if those results aren't coming, then it seems to be the door. And I think that coaches are getting shorter and shorter leashes at the moment. I mean, James Franklin, he took the team to the brink of the national championship last year. He got them to the essentially to the semi-finals when they lost out to Notre Dame. And this year, a run of bad results, and he's gone within three losses. So yeah, harsh, but seems to be the trend this year for some reason for Franklin, for Kelly.
Hmm.
Um, Billy Napier, maybe the writing was on the wall a bit more because he'd had a couple of very iffy seasons, and many thought he was lucky to be back. Um, in Gainesville this year, but there we go.
Because the layman for me here, like, in layman
Yeah,
terms, I look at it and go, okay, you've lost 3 games this year, and I know college is a short season. I know that, and you're right, against ranked teams, Clemson, Ole Miss, Vandy, and A&M. He's 1-3. He's not. They've not performed against the highest ranked teams, but you have an opportunity. I just think just the sense of it for me is you have an opportunity to go to Alabama, who Bama are playing top at the minute. They're playing very, very well. And yeah, you
yeah,
could go there and lose as well. But you have an opportunity to bounce back against Alabama. You then play Arkansas and Western Kentucky, and then you're at Oklahoma to finish out the season. Does it also, with these coach firings, is there a little bit of a looking at the future and looking at the now with the portal and the timing of the portal and where it is in the calendar? And I know it's been moved, hasn't it, to January from December, I
yeah,
think. Do you think now, because it seems to a lot of people, well, you could turn this around, 4 games left, could turn it around, could still get ranked, could still be able to make a bit of a run in the playoffs. But with now the positioning of things like the portal, and with the money that LSU have as well, like, does it make sense to get rid of him earlier rather than later, because they can get that guy in, and then and we'll talk about maybe who that guy might be, and then they start to, they can get quite a clear go at starting their program off with the off season, with the high school signings and everything like that. I have lost you visually, but it's okay, we can still do it.
you have. I don't know where I've gone.
There you go, you've returned.
I'm back. I'm back. Um, yeah, it's a strange one because it's different to the NFL in terms of because quite often when you see a head coach get fired, you'll quite often see a lot of players jump ship, either enter the transfer portal or recruits that they're trying to get to join the school will decommit. Ones that have committed, they'll decommit or flip their commitment to another school because part of the reason they choose a certain school is because of that coach. Um, so by doing it mid-season, it seems to sort of like torpedo that a bit because you could have players jump ship, good players as well, and you could lose the recruits that were coming through to build upon for following seasons. So yeah, I'm a bit baffled by it as well. But then I suppose, like you say, you want to get someone in as soon as possible so you can start that process anew as early as possible. So players and potential recruits know exactly what's going on ahead of the off season or before the next season, so that they can establish those connections there. Um, so I can sort of see where they've done it now with Brian Kelly because um, I mean it's a bit different now that we've got the expanded playoff. But before the expanded playoff, when there was just 4 teams in the playoff, or even before that, when it was just came down to the bowl system. Um, for a lot of teams, it was one loss and your season was done because there was no chance of that postseason place. Now we've got the expanded playoff, 2 losses maybe, 3 at a push can still see you get in depending on how the committee feel about you. But I think the higher ups at LSU especially saw 3 three very iffy. Well, not maybe not to A&M because A&M are the strongest team in the conference at the moment. But three losses, and they're thinking, well, we're not going to keep up with the rest of this conference. That's our playoff potential gone now. So why not start now? Yeah, get him out the door and start for next year. But yeah, essentially with them, like with them, and like with Penn State, I think the season this season is done and gone for them.
Mm.
So
Who's
yeah,
getting the call? Who's getting the call then?
who's getting the call? What for the job?
Yeah, for the job. I mean, you've got Meyer out there. You've got Nick Saban out there. I mean, Saban seems pretty happy with his college game day ESPN
Yeah,
contract to me. Urban Meyer seems to be flitting around a little bit in the media at the minute, even though everyone seems to have forgotten what sort of a terrible guy he was during his time in the NFL. But obviously, an
yeah,
incredibly tenured and successful college. College.
yeah. He was an extremely successful college coach, winning natties at both Florida and Ohio State. Um, I don't think it will go that way. I mean, obviously, if Nick Saban expressed interest, and they'd have to have a look at that. But he's been there before. He's won a national championship there before he went and won a bajillion at Alabama. Um, I think though they're going to lean to a younger coach who's already coaching, and it's going to be someone who's going to want to maybe step up from another school that's not quite as powerful. Names that have been bandied about. Obviously, we've got Lane Kiffin seems to be the favourite name at the moment, but he's done very well at Ole Miss. He's doing well at the moment, and I think you need to see how this season plays out. Um, and I think him and his family are quite settled in Oxford, Mississippi. So will he want to uproot them and move? I mean, I know it's not that far to Louisiana from Mississippi, but it is a very attractive job opening because it is one of those ones that.
Do you think it's the most attractive job opening out of Penn
Uh,
State, Florida, and LSU? Which one out of the three do you think is the most desirable?
um, it probably is LSU. I'd probably rank them at LSU, then Florida, then Penn State.
Mm.
Um, they're all
Because
very good jobs. I mean, LSU is a job that you know that you will come into. The way the expectation will be huge, but the resources afforded and the potential for recruitment and that is also extremely strong. Um, Same with Florida. I mean, LSU are the most recent team out of those three to have won a national championship. Florida, not too long ago, at least this century. Penn State, when was the last time they won or were named a national champion? Um, I've forgotten the year, but I know it was a long time ago. But yeah, they're all good spots. But I think I go in that order: LSU, Florida, then Penn State.
I'd agree with you. I think now in the world of the transfer portal as well, and like you said, the resources that are available, LSU is one of them teams that has them resources, and then
Yeah,
it's probably then Florida, and then it's probably then Penn State. So I could definitely see that. I mean, I think you're right. Lane Kiffin seems to be the word on everyone's mouth. I'd avert my eyes over towards the guy at Vandy, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe that's lightning in the bottle for them, maybe a little bit at the minute, but at the same time, he's definitely creating a culture there, and well, we're going to move on to that anyway. I suppose we'll have a look at the games that are coming this weekend, and we've got three that we're going to preview. If you want to move on to that, unless you have any
yeah.
other thoughts on
Only one
LSU.
comment on Clark Lee, who's head coach of Vanderbilt, and same as well with Kenny Dillingham, who's Arizona State head coach, whose name has been thrown out there a bit. Um, the reason both he and Clark Lee and Dillingham have done such a successful job at turning around flailing programs, in my opinion, is because they've come back to their alma mater, the schools that they attended as students and players. Um, so they had a real strong desire and passion to make that school good, to be to like that Dillingham has said before that his dream job was to coach at Arizona State, and now he's done that, and he turned them into a playoff team. Clark Lee has turned Vanderbilt from basically the laughing stock of the SEC, the team that was always like you ticked as a win when you looked ahead in your schedule. If you had Vanderbilt, you knew you had a win that season, but he's turned them into potentially a powerhouse in that conference. Um, so why? Well, you never know when the big schools come calling, but like, why would they want to leave a job that they are very successful in, that is a place that they are from and they love, and and they want to see succeed, and they establishing their names as potentially legends in those schools. Um, to they could move on for bigger money for a bigger school and completely fail and destroy that legacy. So would they want to risk it? And I think at the moment, no. I think they would want to stay at the schools that they're creating, like you said, that culture in that, turning them into winning
Mm.
programs. So yeah,
I think the only criticism I would have of them thoughts would be either of them left and went. Big schools don't always come knocking, and when they
mm,
do, you should listen, at least listen anyway to what they have to say.
yeah,
And not that this would happen straight like in this linear order, but say if either of them coaches went to LSU, went to Florida, were there for a year, two, maybe doesn't work out, fall flat on their face. I think them schools would open. I think they would welcome them back with open. Definitely, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. I feel like they would welcome him back with open arms. I don't think they would see it as a betrayal. I think they would see it as when these teams do come knocking, you've got to go. Like I don't know. That would be my opinion of it. But I know but blood runs thicker than water in these college schools.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, have you seen? Uh, yeah, there is the potential for them to become complete. What's the word I'm looking for? You see the signs that get held up at college game day sometimes, that either taking the mick out of former players and coaches and things like that. But yeah, college football is very, very, very partisan, and I
tribal.
think the concept of loyalty um, can be held very highly amongst fan bases.
Mm.
Because yeah, they're just quite often they're on a completely different level, college fan bases or fans groups, and yeah, if you're not playing for your school, then you
You're
can
not
do
playing
one,
for any.
mate.
Yeah, you're not playing for any school. Well, let's have a look at the
Yeah,
next week. This week, weekend's previews of the three games we're going to do. So we'll start with Vanderbilt. It seems we've been talking about them a fair bit in the last moment there against Texas. Vanderbilt coming in at 7-1, Texas 6-2. Vandy beating Missouri last weekend 17-10, and Texas beating Mississippi State 45-38. An SEC clash, obviously. Texas are the favourites at minus 2.5. And as much as we know how good Texas have been, and they're playing fairly decent this year, I mean, Vandy's it's a storyline, isn't it? At the minute, I mean, Diego Pavia, the quarterback there, is playing at an unreal level. I saw his stuff after the game against Mississippi State, where they said about the Heisman, and you're thinking you could win it, and he's absolutely. And I think confidence in the quarterback position is obviously not unheard of. Most quarterbacks tend to be incredibly confident. I do think Pavia dangerously sits on the Johnny Manziel Baker Mayfield side of thing. Now I know Johnny Manziel Baker Mayfield, that was two very, very different trajectories of what happened. But in terms of that confidence, not in play style, but in terms of that confidence in the way he carries himself a little bit, I'm not play style wise, but
yeah.
he does carry that himself. He believes entirely in what he's about. And Vandy now ninth in the AP rankings, highest they've been in 88 years. I mean, Texas coming ranked at 20. If they would, they were first for everyone at the start of the season. Stuff with Manning. I mean, he's in concussion protocol. He's missed practice this week, but it's still up in the air whether he's going to play. I mean, how do you see this one going?
I can see this game being quite similar to Texas game last week against Mississippi State, another team that were on the cusp of breaking a losing SEC losing streak. I think that was then their 12th, was it 12th or 13th straight SEC loss. But this Vanderbilt team has got something, like you say, a bit different about them. It's driven through Diego Pavia and this just like unquenchable confidence that he has in himself and in his team. Again, supported by very good coach in Clark Lee. But we look back to last year when they beat Alabama, and that seemed to be maybe a one-off, a fluke. It was a good win, but that seemed to be maybe a turning point. And said, well, we beat Alabama last year. Why can't we beat anyone else in the SEC this year? And they have been. They've just been. They've not always been the easiest games, and they've not been the most straightforward. It was a tough sledding against Mizzou last week. A relatively low scoring game. They managed to just eke out 17-10, but why not? And this Texas team that they're playing this year, like Texas have been for the past 3 years or 2 years um, playoff contenders, and they were right up there in it 2 years ago when they lost out to Washington, and last year when they got right up there as well. And this was supposed to be the year of Arch Manning stepping in as the savior, the improvement over Quinn Ewers. But he's just looked a bit, I don't want to say a bit meh this season, but he's just been not what we expected him to be. He struggled at times. They seem to be coming together a bit more now and putting together a string of wins. But they don't always feel that convincing like they were in previous years when they could just go in and steamroller an opponent, or just completely shut them down with the defense. This year they seem to be letting teams in more, resulting in closer games and then having to turn it into a bit of a shootout like it was last week. Yeah, and I can see a similar sort of thing happening this week against Vanderbilt.
Who you going to take? Who you going to take for the win? Do you think?
We always have these conversations, Andrew, about heart and head picks.
But bear in mind, Manning
my
might
head
not
pick.
play. There is that as well.
Yeah, because he's still in concussion protocol.
He has practiced, but that doesn't mean he's going to play.
No. I mean, they could end up leaning on their backup. He scored the winning touchdown in overtime last week.
Matthew Caldwell.
That's it. I can think of his bloody name now. Matthew Caldwell. But yeah, even if he plays, though, I think there's a fair chance that Texas win and should win it. Overall, in terms of the roster strength compared to Vanderbilt's, and if they can get their defense firing on all cylinders, then Texas should win it. But I would love to see Vanderbilt win. I just would love to see Pavia just a bit run through them and just, I don't know, just completely do them over. It's not going to be. I think it's going to come down to a one or two score game, and it probably will be Texas that comes out on top. But I would like to pick Vanderbilt. I like that.
Then pick Vanderbilt. Then just pick.
I will. Go on. Then. I'm going to pick Vandy. I'll pick Vandy.
Go for that heart over head decision. Go for it. Live free and easy. That's what I say. Go Diego Pavia, future Heisman winner as well. There we go. We're going to put it all out there. That's what we're going to say.
All right. Vandyism.
Okay, let's move on to Oklahoma and Tennessee. Both 6-2. A big SEC matchup. This is, I mean, a lot of playoff implications in this one, Alex, isn't there? I mean, Oklahoma ranked 18th for the minute, Tennessee 14. Both decent teams, but have had a few of their struggles. But they've both been playing pretty well. You know, Aguilar at the Vols has been good. I mean, John Mateer, we mentioned it earlier. had that hand injury. He's not looking the same since. I mean, he had surgery on it. He broke a bone against Auburn. Did miss the game v Kent State, and then returned against Texas. Had one of his worst games of his career with three picks, and really was in that Heisman conversation. And since his injury, you sort of alluded to earlier, but we'll dig into it a bit deeper. Has been in my mind rushed back. I mean, I broke my collarbone in May, and I'm still not allowed to play five-a-side football yet. Now I know collarbone's a little different to the hand, your finger, but my finger's not feeling right just yet. Like it's not feeling this bit here is still not that straight, and it's my tendons are still funny, and that's been like nearly 6 months, and this guy had a week off. Now I'm not comparing, but when you break a bone, you probably should take a little bit of time.
Yeah. I think that's right because he's not been the same since he came back. He's not been as effective. Because John Mateer is a great quarterback. I liked him a lot. Last year he was at Washington State, and I've enjoyed watching him at the start of this season. But obviously having surgery on your throwing hand and then coming back a week, well, it felt like he was only off for like a fortnight, didn't it? But it's going to have an impact on your game. Whether that makes his accuracy not quite as good as it was, whether that makes him more tentative in his plays or more wanting to protect himself when he does play, I don't know. But there's something not quite there at the moment, which is making it tough for Oklahoma to win games, and it's going to be very tough going up against a team like Tennessee um, because they're going to have to keep pace with them. I mean, Tennessee is quite a high-powered offense with Jerry Aguilar, um, who's been playing great. Um, I mean, I'll admit, I've taken my eye off them the last couple of weeks. Tennessee, where I've been focusing on other games and other teams, but they're just that team that is just sort of flying there, and the expectation is they will win each week in most of their matchups. That was a pretty convincing win they had last week against Kentucky, who aren't the strongest of SEC sides, but it's still an SEC win. So yeah, I was just having a quick look at the comparing the offenses and defense between the two teams. Um, See that Tennessee at the moment is putting up 510 yards per game, which ranks them third in the FBS. Whereas Oklahoma are 376 yards, ranked at 78th in the FBS. So Tennessee are considerably outgaining them offensively. Um, but then when we look at the defenses, uh, Tennessee's overall defense are allowing 401 yards per game, which ranks them in the FBS, whereas Oklahoma are only allowing 240, which ranks them sixth. Um, so I think it's going to be one of them games that is like the unstoppable force against an immovable object sort of thing, where the key battle may not be um, John Mateer driving the Oklahoma offense to a high score, but rather the Oklahoma defense um, trying to contain this high-powered Tennessee offense.
Do you think is this one of them games in the season where you go neither team can lose this game? Because if one of them goes to three losses,
Yeah,
like you said earlier, that's playoff implications are pretty much out.
yeah, I think so, and I think more so for Oklahoma at the moment. Well, I say that either of them with 3 wins is going to be an absolute battle to get into one of those top four spots with Texas A&M and Georgia and Alabama as well above them, as well as Ole Miss. Um, so yeah, they both need to win. Whoever loses this game is going to have an absolute mountain to climb if they're going to find themselves with a playoff spot.
Did you think that if either of these lose this game, that'll be it? As in, you don't think they'll be able to bounce back in?
Probably not. probably not with the strength of the other teams around them and above them.
Well, Tennessee are a -3 point favourite at the minute. Who would you go for in this game, do you think?
I think I'd go with Tennessee in this one. I think that their offense is going to be a bit too much, and I don't think Oklahoma are going to be able to keep up with them with post-surgery material.
Well, I saw a fair bit of pre injury Mateer, and he was looking pretty hot. So it's a shame that he's off, but maybe they've rushed him back. I mean, we just have to keep an eye on it going forward in the season. Hopefully, he maybe bounce back next year. If not, on to the last game that we're going to talk about, and that is Penn State going to Ohio State. I think before the season started, this was everyone's, this is the Big Ten big game. This is the one that everyone's going to sit down and watch. This is going to be the big one. And now it sort of falls a little bit flat, doesn't it? Because Penn State get rid of James Franklin, 3-4. Ohio State unbeaten for the season. They're 7-0. Julian Sainz playing fantastic. Ohio State number one in the rankings, not lost a game. Penn State not ranked. It's like this was such meant to be the headline news, and now it's a game that feels like it might be forgotten over the weekend now.
Yeah, it has become a bit of an also-ran sort of game. I mean, like, how can you not expect Ohio State just to go in and just steamroller them at the moment? Because this is a team that are in a complete free fall at the moment. Allah's gone for the season. The head coach is gone. A head coach that I think was held in very regard by his players as well. High regard by his players. So playoff aspirations out the window. It's going to be hard for them to find much motivation and going against the number one ranked team. And it's just for that pride, that sense of pride that they could say, actually, we could knock them off, but no, I don't see that happening at all. So yeah, this has become, I think, the rest of Penn State's season is it's just been since that loss to Oregon. Well, essentially since they lost to UCLA. But yeah, there's the aspirations and maybe even the winning mentality has left that building. Whereas Ohio State are just a team that you'd be surprised to lose to anyone at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's sort of the plane going down and the plane going up, isn't it? One seems to be crash landing and one seems to be just taking off.
Yeah. But you never know. Crazier things have happened in college football. Well, I mean, the exact thing sort of happened to Penn State when they played UCLA, which is a team that was 0-4 that had just they let go of their head coach as well. And then they turned it around and just went on their own little streak and have come back down to earth again now. But yeah, crazy things happen in college football, more so than the NFL. I'd say when you can just randomly get these just crazy upsets. But it's not going to happen at Ohio State. Going to win. So,
do you think they've got a chance of going unbeaten and doing it all again, going back to back?
Unless they play Michigan at the end of the season, which they always lose to.
Will, yeah.
Yeah, they've got Michigan at the end of the season too, haven't they?
Yeah.
Have they? I've completely forgotten them. But yeah, yes. They should go undefeated this season. And be number one seed. Sorry?
I'll take a little look at the schedule while you're talking, see if they have got them at the end of the season.
Yeah, okay. But no, there's no reason why they shouldn't go undefeated and be number one seed entering the playoff.
In fact, I don't know why I looked at that because I know as a Michigan fan, we play them the last game of every the last game of the regular season.
And you lose to them every season. For the past, is it 3 or 4 years, they've lost to the highest to Michigan. But then last year they had the national championship trophy to to console themselves with after that. So,
Do you think they are? So you think they're going to go back to back? You don't think A&M could have a chance against them, or even Notre Dame?
oh no, I think they're going to go undefeated in the regular season. When it comes to the playoff, um, I don't know. I think anything could happen then. I think they are favourites and they're favourites for a reason. And I think that yeah, they are the most likely team to win the national championship. Um, but yeah, I mean, like what happened, like a team like Oregon could could push them, but we saw what happened in the playoff last year with them, and they just completely steamrolled them. Then, um, yeah, at the moment, I'm not sure who could beat them.
Mm.
Even like a rising A&M. I think it would have to be a team like Alabama firing on all cylinders to knock them off. Whether they meet in the playoff, we'll see. We'll see.
Do you think
But yeah,
if they go undefeated again, that
or I
Julian
think
that Sayan's going to be the Heisman favorite as well?
um, he should be right up there. I can't remember who is favourite at the moment. I did have a look before. Um, but we've seen a few other players drop off, like Dante Moore, Oregon, and obviously Mateer dropped off quite early on after his injury. Um, but yeah, I think it's going to come down to players like Julian Sayin, Ty Simpson at Alabama now is making a very strong case. Um, and yeah, I see a name that should be in the Heisman rankings war. Um, I feel is obviously USC's Jaden Maeva. Obviously, this is I can back up this with stats. I'm not saying there's a hard because I'm a USC fan. Um, but yeah, he's putting up phenomenal numbers each week. He just had the odd slip up and lost against Illinois and Notre Dame, but never mind. But yeah, I think he should be up in the conversation as well. But then what do we base it on? Do we base it on stats because he's putting like USC have got the like number one offense in terms of yardage and that in the Big Ten, or should the Heisman be like the most valuable player award, and should it go to a player that is like driving his team to success, like Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt or something like that? I don't know because Heisman voting can get a bit crazy as well at times. But yeah, going back to your original question, saying should be definitely within the top three come the end of the season, probably up there as well. I think it might come down to him or Ty Simpson, depending on how the season plays out.
Well, there'll be a game that we'll be definitely watching to see how Ohio State win because at minus 20.5 favorite, I think they are going to probably steamroll Penn State, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Alex, thank you very much for having me. Thank you for teaching me some things that I didn't know maybe about college football, and thank you anyone for listening and watching to the college show here on the Franchise Tag Podcast. Make sure you check out the show on YouTube, like and subscribe, and all of our stuff on social media as well. Our betting show will be on over the weekend for you NFL bettors out there, as well as the talk show coming up next week as well as the college show for the rest of the season. Been a very enjoyable time, Alex. Thank you for having me.
All right, cheers.